my healing journey friends. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name's Lauren, and I'm healing my chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue by healing my past, by healing the old trauma, the old wounds that are from my early childhood that I don't even remember having. My particular trauma is attachment trauma, which means it's relational, is where it came from. But what I want to talk to you about today is something that I am becoming increasingly fascinated. I used to be a person who believed that human beings were just here to live life, go back and then die and go back to dust in the circle of life, and we are. But I just was not in touch with, I was completely against anything spiritual, definitely religious, my whole life. You know, self-proclaimed atheist for my whole life until this illness and until I got backed into a corner. And I didn't know where else to look but inside myself. And I don't know where you are in your journey, but maybe you're in this place where you feel backed into a corner. And the places that you go and try to heal through supplements, lifestyle, diet, all of that stuff, it's, you know, all these different treatments that you can try and different doctors, you go from doctor to doctor, and not getting, you know, some things might help some, but maybe you're in this place where you feel like you've tried everything, all the external sources, all the things that they tell you to do, and you're still not healing. You're still not getting better. You're okay and you're better than you were maybe from all those things, but you're just not, you're not healing at the rate that happens when you've found the root cause of something. If you're still searching, then it's time, I believe, to look at the emotional, the energetic side of your being. And this is what I did. This is where I went. I felt backed into a corner. I felt like there was nothing else left. I was out of options. And yet I had a moment of clarity and anger, but productive anger, just pure determination that I don't care what it takes. I will go to the ends of the earth. I remember using this phrase, I will go to the ends of the earth to find the answer to this illness. I will get better. I don't care what it takes. What? I don't care what, anything. And for me, because I've been so against the energetic, emotional, and spiritual side of me my whole life, that's what it took for me. It took for me to become so desperate, so honestly angry about what was happening to me. And anger is an important emotion. It's the emotion that helps us create boundaries in our life. Like, enough is enough. I'm not taking this anymore. It had been years and years of suffering, and I'm sure you can relate to this. If you have chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue, you can relate to this. Years of suffering, searching for answers, not able to find them, spending so much money, so much time, so much hope. And where are you? How much better are you from all those things? You have every right to be angry. And the anger, the gift of the anger, of getting angry about that, is that it pushes you forward. It says, and for me, that's how it happened to me. It was this moment, and it actually got spurred on by an argument, and something switched in me in a moment. And I said, and I did a lot of cursing in that moment with the F word, just because it's what I use when I'm angry. So I don't care what it takes. I will fix this. I will heal this. I'm going to figure this out. And I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change my body. I'm going to change this. This is not happening anymore. I'm done. Now, obviously, simply by doing that, you're not going to heal just by deciding. But it's a crucial thing to have happen, because intention is so powerful. And so when you have a moment like that, or you reach some threshold, you you get backed into a corner and you feel trapped, and you get this determined energy, this angry energy that's determined. I'm just going to keep using this power, because if you're in this illness, you've probably lived from a place of powerlessness, because I believe that powerlessness is a core energetic state, energetic component of these illnesses of chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue. And if I'm right, that means you've lived much of your life in a powerless state, completely unconscious. And there is absolutely no judgment, because I am like I'm the poster child for unconsciously living in a powerlessness state, but consciously knowing that I'm powerful. And the conscious knowing isn't enough. It's the unconscious that keeps you trapped in a powerlessness state. And so you get into situations where you're sort of a victim. You're powerless. You can't do this, you can't do that. You get into situations like that because you're putting out this energy without having any idea that you're doing it. But there's something in your past that has created that powerless energy in you. And so the healing from that powerless state comes from coming back into your power. This is what this process is about. The process of healing from adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue, that at its core is about powerlessness, and it's got other stuff involved. It's got shame, it's got vulnerability, it's got guilt, there's anger and rage and sad. There are all kinds of blocked emotions, stuck emotions, trapped emotions in your body, and that's what's causing the symptoms of adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue. But one of those I know for certain in my core and my gut is one of those is powerlessness and helplessness. And to me, helplessness and powerlessness have some nuanced differences, and so I use them in different situations. I resonate more with the word powerlessness than helplessness, but there are certain moments that I do resonate with the helplessness energy. So this process of healing adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue has to have this coming into your own power. But how do you do that? Well, one of the first moments, big moments that's going to get you there is this moment of freaking no, I'm not living like this anymore. I can't take anymore. You can, but you won't. It's more, I won't take this anymore. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to get it. I don't care what it takes. That is power. You can feel the power from your solar plexus if you're in touch with that area. It feels like there's energy there. And there is. And there's always energy there. But the problem with this, the difficulty with this illness is that that energy becomes trapped. And there, you know, in these rare moments when you can access your power are really important for this healing process. And it starts out by those moments being very few and far in between. But as you work to heal, you're going to get more and more and more. And it's really exciting when you do, let me tell you. And it can be scary because the reason that you're powerless, you have this powerless energy, is because for some reason in your past you learned that power is dangerous, and so there's going to be fear connected to this aspect of power. But the gift, and I say this all the time, but oh my gosh, is it true? The gift of this illness is that the suffering, the pain, and the fear that come from living in this illness year after year, and the suffering, the fear of staying in that state becomes greater than the fear of coming into your own power, feeling that power in a moment. That's what happens in that moment of feeling like, I don't care what it takes. That's what's happening. That the fear of power, being in your own power, has just become less than the fear of the illness. The fear of staying in this illness state becomes greater. The fear of staying in this illness becomes greater and it's overriding, and so you're going to move past this, and you develop this determination. And then when you have these moments, so one thing that I'm learning in this process is how to work with states. And I've talked about this emotional home that we all have, and when you have trauma, and when you have early life and past trauma and wounds that have put you in certain states, you might live unconsciously in a state of powerlessness, shame, helplessness, anger, like these very low vibrational and constricting energies and emotions. The emotions, each emotion has an energy, has a frequency. When you live in those unconsciously, because you live them there because they're trapped emotions. These emotions can't move in you because of the defenses that you developed as a child, that you had to protect yourself. Then, because this is trapped energy, it's like it becomes the energy that you emit, and it's all unconscious. You're not consciously emitting fear and powerlessness and all these things that I just said. You know, you might not consciously feel those things at all, but they've become a part of you. They've become, they're all residing in your energy field, and so you're emitting what you put out, you get back. And so you might find as a sensitive person that you end up in these situations, you're attracting energy, negative energy, whether that's through people or experiences. This is such a common thing for sensitive, highly sensitive people and empaths. And it's because highly sensitive people and empaths often have past trauma and wounds that have put a great deal of fear into the body and into the energy field of that person, of you, of me. And so when you have that, then you end up unconsciously, I'm going to keep saying unconsciously, attracting all this negative energy, a negative experience, negative emotion. You know, you have a negative relationship with money because it brings up fear. You have a fear relationship with lots of people, with interpersonal relationships, with money, with safety, with all kinds. I mean, with any, you could name anything. If you have fear associated and in a relationship, the relationship between you and that is fear, it's gonna be, you're gonna struggle with that your whole life until you heal the fear. And so this process of healing adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue, and especially adrenal fatigue, because fear is such a huge component of adrenal fatigue. It's the core piece. It's the illness. The illness of adrenal fatigue is fear. It's a fear illness. And if you think about the traditional Chinese medicine knowledge of the adrenals and kidneys, that's where fear resides. So it makes sense. It's like when you reside in an energy of fear, the organ where fear resides is the one that's going to take the toll. And that's the adrenals, and it takes years and years, sometimes decades, to develop adrenal fatigue to such a severity that you realize what it is, that becomes incapacitating or really hinders your life, and then you start searching for answers. You know, that takes a good number of years to happen, but it's a place of fear. It's living in a place of fear. So this process of healing this illness is, to put it quite simply, is a process of shifting your energy from fear to love. And part of love is power and feeling empowered. Feeling empowered is a part of feeling self-love. When you feel self-love, when you feel true love for yourself, you can harness this feeling of empowerment. When you feel empowered, you actually feel more love for yourself. And they're very closely linked. And so this process is about moving from fear to power, from fear to self-love, fear to love. And what's fascinating is that this process of moving from fear to love is really, I believe now, what's happening on this planet, is that we are moving from fear to love. I believe this is what the soul's journey is as well. So I believe this process of healing adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue, again, is about moving from shifting your energy field from an energy and a frequency of fear into an energy state of power and love. And when power comes from love, there's no greater, because a lot of us, I think, have association because of the culture and the world that we live in. We've associated power with a lot of evil, a lot of really horrible things happening, that people become greedy with power and they harm other people, enslave other people, marginalize other people. I mean, all the horrible things that happen on our planet. We know that a lot of this happens because people become greedy and consumed with this searching for power. And so I think a lot of us, particularly sensitive people and spiritual people who want to love, fear power because you have those associations with power. But the thing is, in this world, in the world that we live in today, in this huge shift that's happening, the energetic shift that's happening on this planet right now, and I might talk more about that in other videos, or you can find this stuff online to listen to. It's fascinating to me, this really acceleration of energy shift that's happening just in the last 2 years. Not because of COVID, but COVID is sort of a part of that energetic shift. And there are lots of, I think, fascinating and spiritual ways of looking at COVID and all the harshness, all the challenge, and all the pain that has come from the pandemic. But there are spiritual ways of looking at this that I think bring a lot of hope. But I just think it's fascinating to me that this energetic shift is happening at the same time, or in this same way, to push us towards this energy of love. But what happens when the whole globe has been in an energy of fear, and then, the energy is pushing us to heal, pushing us to love, which is healing. What happens is the fear boils up and it gets way worse, and all this negative, these painful things start happening. There's a rising up, and a rising up of fear, and a rising up of hate, and a rising up of, because the fear and the hate is being threatened as an energy. I think it's really interesting, but it comes to mind because to me, it's like this universal law. It's like this universal energy shift that has to happen on every scale, from fear to love, fear to power, to love power. And what I was saying before is that power, in terms of being empowered in love and connection, is the most beautiful thing in the world. And we have to differentiate. I almost wish there was a different word between greedy power and love power, between, a power that's driven by ego and power that's driven by love and connection and peace. Because when we, as empaths and highly sensitive people and old souls, come into our power from fear, that's what can bring people together. We can emanate such strong love that it can shift things. So it's even more important that we, as people with adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue, learn how to do this. It's like we're a microcosm of this process. And if you've heard the spiritual saying, "So within is without," what that means is that you have to before you can help other people, the world, you have to heal yourself. And adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue is this incredible gift, screaming. It's our soul, our higher self, screaming at us that we have to heal what's inside of us. You can't keep this pain and fear and all these wounds in your body anymore, because the world needs you. The world needs you. It needs you. And so that's why when you heal these things, you can find your purpose. And I know I've talked about this before, but when you heal this stuff, you can start to see the breadcrumbs from your soul of your purpose, of the purposeful life that you're supposed to lead. Whatever it is that you're supposed to contribute to this planet during these difficult times right now. And I believe that our souls chose this time in particular for you, for us, for you and me to be on this planet, because there's a need, there's a part that we have to play. And when you heal, you can figure out what that part is. And the healing is moving from fear to love. And that's what I'm trying to learn how to do myself, and what I'm sharing on this channel. Because it sounds so simple, and it is the hardest thing in the world. It's the hardest thing in the world. You have to have so much, again, determination, because it's hard. And it hurts. It hurts to go back to the places, the original places that you were hurt. It hurts to be triggered. It hurts to feel the pain rise up again and be triggered all over the place. But this process of healing, there's nothing more beautiful in my mind. I believe the point of suffering is to learn how to heal it. Learn how to heal from that suffering. Because learning how to heal from suffering is learning how to love. And love is the energy of the universe, of our soul, of our higher self, and it's where we are trying to learn how to go. And the opposite is fear. And we live in a world of polarity and dichotomy and contrast. And so what's really cool to think about is, well, what if, I think this is the whole thing about, what if I and you, what if we, people with these illnesses, had to embody fear in such a profound way in order to be the contrast, to be the darkness, in order to find the light. If you're born into light, you don't have any motivation to move towards light. Because in your perspective, light's always there. But if you are born in the darkness, or you live your life so much in the darkness, but you see that there's light out there. You see glimpses, you feel glimpses, you know that there's more, there's something in you that knows that there's something better, there's a light on the other side, then you're seeking. You're seeking that light because of the contrast, because of the opposite. And so I think of fear and love as in this way. What if you and me, people with this illness, were destined to feel fear in such a pervasive, visceral way that became all-consuming and confining and trapping to your life, so that it would be this contrast, to be this darkness that you're moving away from, to push you towards love and light. What if that's true? What if you are supposed, it's because your purpose, you are meant to be an entire resonance of love, because that's you became a resonance, an entire resonance of fear emanating because of all the pain, the painful past. But it's because you had to have that happen in order to learn how to become an energetic being of love. And my gosh, I mean, my God, isn't that what we need in this world? More and more people to learn how to be a light and a light of love on this planet. And when you go through the pain of living in a state of fear and darkness, and then you learn how to live in a state by healing the old wounds that created the fear, when you go back and heal all of these wounds, and you learn how to embody this energy of love and light. I mean, you think you're ever going to go back there to the fear and the darkness and the pain? I don't think so. And so when you learn how to do this, you're continuing. It's like your whole life purpose becomes learning how to live love and light in any situation, how to embody that energy no matter what situation you are up against. And that is a lifelong process. And I'm just beginning. And you probably are too. If you're still in this illness, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of learning how to live in love and light. I so believe this. I've been getting goosebumps this whole video because I just think this is my truth. I so believe this to the core of my being. And I feel like it's been proven to me with every setback, and with every leap forward, with every inch forward, with every opening to see the light. It's just proof. I feel like what I'm talking about is just being proven to me again and again and again. And maybe you can resonate with that because you have been seeing these. If you've started this healing process, you have felt these glimpses of love and light. And yeah, the default is to go back into fear and shame and all the other emotions that fear is attached to, because that's where you've lived. And it can be very frustrating, very demoralizing, because it's hard to heal this stuff and it takes a long time. But once you see that love and light for moments or a day here and a day there of being in this high feeling and living in this higher vibrational state in which your illness doesn't exist. So what I'm talking about are days when you don't have symptoms, when you live when you feel good. To put it plainly, you feel good. When you have those moments, and then the next day you go back into this feeling like shit, I'm sorry to say. You feel like crap, you feel awful, you feel fatigued, you feel drained, and all of your organs, your energy systems have gone back down. The pain of that feeling of going from a high to a low is your motivation, is the thing to keep you going. Because when you start to see these glimpses, like, it's demoralizing, don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh, it's so demoralizing to have a good day and then the next day is bad. It's like, I thought, and it's so easy to go to these places in your mind, like, well, I guess I did something wrong. It's easy to go to these places of blame and think, what did I do wrong? What's the problem? Did I eat something? Did I take something? What's the problem? Am I stressed? Am I go through all the list? But I encourage you to not do that. To use that moment, that day as your guiding light. That's what I'm going for. And that's what I'm going to learn how to feel every day, because I'm going to heal this shit that's making me feel like shit. Sorry for my language. When I get impassioned, I use that language. So use these days, these good days, as your guiding light. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm going to learn how to do. Because the days when you feel like crap are the days that you're living in a traumatized state. I often call them triggered states. Something has happened or not. Maybe it's just rising up in your body, whether you were triggered and you can identify a trigger or not. If you can't, then it could just be it's rising up in your body because you are emitting these positive, warm, loving, accepting emotions in your body, it allows more emotion to come up and feel like, okay, maybe it's safe to come up now. And if it's safe to come up, then the next day you might feel like crap. Because that emotion's coming up and it's changing the entire your entire physiological being. All of your physiology. And that's what's so incredible. I mean, it's so incredible that, you know, your energetic state can completely shift your physiological state. It's amazing. And it works somewhat in reverse. But the stronger link is to go from the energy to influence your physicality, as opposed to going from having your physical shift your energetic. That doesn't really work. It can help. So, you know, do things, change your physiology, keep your head up, keep your back straight, you know, to embody the energy of power. That can help. But the stronger link is to learn how to live in these energies by healing the wounds, and having memories of feeling that state. If you have a memory of feeling that emotion in your past, then you can learn how to bring that back and learn how to embody it in different emotions. And that is learning how to change your state. But I'm not talking about that today. Today I'm talking about this shift from fear to love, and that comes from healing the wounds. Because the fear is attached to all those wounds. You can't just get rid of fear if you still have the wounds, because the wounds and the trauma are where the fear came from. So I believe, based on my experience, you can't just do spiritual practices and meditations and beautiful things that I do use, but that alone cannot be used in my experience, and that's just my experience. If other people have other experience, I'm so happy for them, and that's wonderful. But for me, it's like trying to move. What's a good metaphor? It's like trying to move something that still has ropes attached to it. You can't move it. You can't move something over to the side that you want it to move, over to love, when it still has ropes attached. And those are the wounds, those are the traumas. So these beautiful light and love meditations and all kinds of meditations that you can do, healing meditations with different colored lights, they are so helpful. But that won't heal the wound. I so believe this, and so that's why I'm making this channel and doing these videos about, well, how do you actually heal the wound? How do you identify the wound? And then how do you heal the wound? And some of those practices are used to shift the energy of the wound, but you still have to become conscious of that wound. I hope I'm being clear here, but that's my experience. Again, to say it again, because it's so important in my mind, it's crucial. This concept of healing this illness is about moving your energy system from fear to love and light and power. Love power. Empowered love. We need a new name. We need a name to mean empowered love. Maybe there is one and I just don't know it, or it's not coming to me right now. So I'm just going to call it empowered love. That's what this illness, the healing of this illness is all about. And you can do it. You can do it because we're human beings, and we all have the capacity to feel this, to feel and to live in this energy of love and light. We all have the ability to shift our energy. We just have to know how to do it and have the commitment and determination and dedication to do it. And have the support and the people and the tools to do it as well. So, I hope you enjoyed my impassioned rant about this, but man, I get so fired up about this stuff because, I just believe it so strongly. So I hope it was helpful to you. Inspiration, food for thought, whatever it is for you, to know that you can heal and you will have a beautiful, beautiful life. the other side of this healing. This healing will bring you a beautiful life, full of purpose, full of light, full of love. It is such a gift. It is the gift of this illness. The gift of your illness. I love you all, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you on the next video. Okay? Take care. Bye.